Hello everybody. In this video we are going to finish talking about strings. So today we are going to talk about string properties and methods. Let's jump to Jupyter Notebook and get started. So first we will talk about immutability of strings, which basically means that you cannot change something. Let me show you an example of this. Now let's imagine that I want to change that S to B. Well, if you came from other languages, then you might think to do something like this. But unfortunately you can do this in Python. Let me show you why. After executing it, you will get an error because strings in Python are immutable, meaning a string object. Let's read the error first. As you can see that the error says string object does not support item assignment, which means that you cannot just go ahead and grab something from a string and change it because string doesn't work that way in Python. But later in this course, we will learn about other data types that do support item assignment in Python. All of this means that if we do want to reassign this S to B, we have to create a new variable, and we can do that with concatenation. This is kind of like joining two strings together. So first thing we need to do is to grab this M after the character S. We can do it by using slashing notation that we earlier learned about in this course. Let's execute it. As you can see that we have sliced M from Sam. Now let's assign it to a variable, and we will call that variable last letter. Execute it. Now let's check if it has been successfully created and assigned. We can do that by calling the variable. Now we see M, which is perfect. Now let's see how we can do string concatenation. Execute it and perfect. Now let me explain what is happening here. First, I wrote the word that I want to assign and merge into the string, which is B. Then I use the plus sign. Then I've called the variable. Let's see another example of this. Execute it. Execute it. Okay, as you can see that there is no space after the exclamation mark. The reason for that is that there is no space after the end of hello with an exclamation mark. Now there is a space before this string, which is let's go to the park. Now let's fix it. What I've just done is that I have initiated a space before the string let's go to the park. Now let's rerun this. Perfect. Now let's try to reassign it. Execute it. Recall it. Okay, perfect. Okay, as you can see that I successfully concatenated it. Also, I want to show you how I can do multiplication with strings. Execute it. Okay, well, it looks like someone is sleeping. Now, I want to show you a mistake that many Python beginners do. Let's do some simple arithmetics first. Execute it. Well, here everything looks fine. Now, let me show you a mistake that you might do in future. Now, what do you think what will happen if I will execute this code? Pause this video and think. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Okay, now let's execute it. As you can see that the result is 22, which does really make sense because since you are adding strings, Python will think that you are trying to merge these two strings together because you are using quotes. So this is a prime example where Python flexibility can be both bad and good. Later in this course, I will show you more mistakes that you can prevent in order to get better in Python. Now I want to discuss string methods. So objects in Python have built-in methods, and these methods themselves are essentially functions that exist inside of an object. Later in this course, I will teach you how you can create your own functions and methods. So for now, I'm going to show you some useful methods. Let me create a variable first. Let's call it X for now. Let's put a dot after the X. Let me press tab. As you can see that we have many different functions and methods available for strings. In this video, I'll just go over the ones that you might gonna use in the future. Execute it. As you can see that the upper function converts everything inside of the string to uppercase. Here you might notice something that I have an open and close parentheses. Let me show you an example of what they are. Execute it. Now as you can see that Python has returned something. Let's see what it is. It says function string.upper. Now what that basically means is that when you were calling this function or method called upper, you didn't actually called it. You actually asked me what it was. So keep in mind, when you are calling a method or a function, you have to use open and close parentheses to call them. Now let me show you the lower function. What this basically does is that it just simply converts everything inside of the string to lower letters. I think that's enough for today. If you have any doubts or questions to what I taught in this video, you can always go to the comment section and ask your questions there. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible.